the purpose of today's meeting really is to cover the type of problems that arise in social care, often through lack of preparation. And the festive season, Christmas and New Year, are key times for issues of this type to arise. Most of them are avoidable with a bit of preparation. And you may think that it's already too late, but it isn't. And we're well aware that many social care providers leave preparation to, unfortunately, the last minute before they get things organised. We've got a number of presenters with us today to try and cover as many different angles as possible. Unfortunately, we've got apologies from Dudley Sawyer, who normally chairs. He can't be here at the moment because he's having to cover for a colleague who's unwell, and hopefully Dudley will join us later. But I see that Victoria, who has stood in as deputy chair on occasions, has just joined us. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the first presenter. We're now getting something of a rush of people coming in. If only social care people were a little more prompt. However, good morning, Victoria. Dimitra, if I could give you the screen and allow you to introduce yourself, and I think your slides are there, but if you struggle with the slides, I've got them as well, so please do let me know.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dimitra Nikoloudaki. I'm the Senior Manager for Quality Assurance and Contract Monitoring, working across Wandsworth and Richmond Borough Council. So I cover both boroughs, so it's double the trouble, if I could say. And obviously I've prepared a few slides on how to prepare for the holidays. And again, it's from a local authority point of view, what are the issues that we're finding with providers with the services during the holidays. So Peter, I will take up your offer if you can share my slides, because I'm not quite sure how to do that on Zoom. I think you're on mute. So hopefully Peter will be able to share my slides. It's just a few tips and a few things that you absolutely know, but it's just as a reminder to be able just to have everything together and to be able to think through almost like a checklist of what all register managers need to do. And some of the first tips on my first slide is for all register managers across the care homes, across domiciliary care. And they're basic things like roster in advance and make sure you have extra staff on call, just in case staff call in sick, just in case they cannot come in due to emergencies. So rostering is really, really key. And we are finding from a local authority point of view that that's the first thing that causes most of the issues and most of the incidents. So make sure you have a robust rostering for the holidays and that you always have backup if you can. Obviously, as you very well know, strike days, bank holidays, transport issues. So try to arrange transport for staff. Don't always leave it to them. Try and be a little bit proactive around that and ensure that all your staff members can come in on the bank holidays, on the strike days, and that those things are in place, that maybe the taxis, maybe carpooling, just depending on where people are coming from. Another thing that we're finding that could kind of change the way you deliver care is obviously if the residents and the clients are spending Christmas and New Year with their families. So if they are, then that means that you will need to provide care for them. So make contact with the relatives to firm up those plans for your residents and your clients, so that then you can roster a bit more accurately. Ensure you know during the holidays who is on call from your senior management. So if an emergency occurs, you are very, very clear on who to escalate things and who to go to provide you with that support and that help that you need. That could actually make it a lot easier for you. So good internal comms are essential, both between the register manager and the team, either within the care home or the branch, with the other managers, with your staff, but also with senior management outside of the home, outside of the branch, but within your organization. And again, sometimes we're finding that the register managers are not 100% sure who is on call every single day, and they're not sure who to escalate things and get that support that they need. Printing off information sometimes can sound a little bit basic, but when you have an emergency and you're scrambling to find everything and anything, and someone is off and you're not sure where they put it, or they've password protected their laptop and you can't access those documents, just having that basic information in terms of contacts, and somewhere where it's readily available for all staff to access, it's quite key. Always be prepared for last minute changes regarding both your clients and your staff. Try to have a contingency in place. You can prepare as much as you like, but obviously you can't be prepared for everything. So trying to anticipate what might happen and respond to that emergency is actually quite important as well. A few of the practicalities: make sure you have enough stock of PPE and tests and anything else that you might need to run the care home or to run the branch, just to last you through the holidays, so you don't need to do those admin tasks while you're going through the holidays. Update your business continuity plan so that you have all the up-to-date internal contacts, and you know who to contact within your local authority that you're based in. Do you know the out of hours number? Do you know your duty desk? Do you know how to report a safeguarding incident? Because those things need to happen in a timely fashion. You don't need to wait for the bank holidays to finish, for Christmas to be over, to report incidents. You need to do them right there and then. Sign up for weather alerts and TFL alerts, so you're aware of the strike days, you're aware of adverse weather forecasts. We've had the snow earlier in the week, which caused delays, which caused call cancellations. So obviously sometimes you can't plan for that, but when it comes to the strike, where they're now quite regular, it's good to have those alerts. Next slide, please. The next slide is providing a little bit more advice for care home managers. And it is a little bit more around the residents, and if you can pre-order the medication to last through the holidays, so that you don't need to again try to find the GP and trying to do those repeat prescriptions. I think it will kind of serve you well. However, again, don't rely that you have ordered all the medication. Have a list of all the open pharmacies within your area and during the bank holidays, in case you run out of medication, or in case you need to find last minute medication that has been prescribed for an emergency. Update your training records so that you know who has done what, and you can call on them if there is an emergency around a specific issue that you have in their home, especially again around medication, just in case other staff need to administer because the staff that you've rotated for administer medication may have an emergency and can't be there. Obviously, you know that there will be nurses and ambulances striking. So again, try to prepare for that. See what you can offer and what you can provide within the home. See what help you can get from the GP or from the care home support teams, so that you're clear again on the residents' needs and what can be provided from either the GP or the care home support team, so that you don't need to rely on the ambulance or the nurses. Specifically around the holidays, ensure you know how many relatives will be visiting the home so that you're not overwhelmed. And if you have a COVID-19 outbreak, inform everyone for their safety, because they may want to cancel their visit. Think about if you need to update the visiting policy to reflect the current guidance. Think about if you need to restrict number of visitors per resident if all the relatives have said that they're coming. Think about, again, IPC and safe practices around the visiting, because we know that that's the most crucial time when it comes to spreading any kind of bugs and flu and COVID and just germs in general. If you do have red bags in your home or e-red bags, remember to plan for them for any residents who are sent from a care home to the hospital. And are you ready for a gas or electricity outage? Do you have a generator? Do you have electric heaters on storage ready to be used? Do you have paper care records just in case of an emergency? Obviously, those eventualities not only happen during the holidays, but because most people are off, most people want to just have a smooth and lovely holiday, they may not be readily available to respond to those emergencies. So it's just trying to prepare for every eventuality, although again, that's not always possible. There will always be something that might happen that you're not ready for, but it's just how quickly you can respond to that emergency. Next slide, please. The next slide is a little bit, a few tips around domiciliary care managers in particular. And again, the themes could be the same. So updating your training records so that you know what competencies each carer has in case of last minute referrals or emergencies. Having an internal communication system with carers so you can alert them quickly, either on weather forecast, on strikes, other emergencies or that occurs. It's quite key. And just a text alert maybe that can go out to everyone, and just having that comm system is quite important, I think, for DCAs, just in case you need to locate where your carers are, or if you need to know if they've actually arrived safely at work. So it's just having that preparation, really. In terms of support, especially around the ambulance, especially around the nurses striking, and especially around people out in the community, the integrated care boards have set up urgent community response teams, and they operate from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And they're manned by a medical professional that can respond within 2 hours. And they can provide support to your clients if an ambulance or nurse cannot be called and it is an emergency. Obviously, please remember that you can call an ambulance if someone's having a heart attack, a stroke, or an accident, but not if they've had a fall or something like that. So try to find out what's the number for the urgent community response team in your local area, and if you can use them. And again, maybe rate your clients to know that in case of an emergency, who do you absolutely need to see? Who absolutely need that care and support? Who are absolutely relying on you for your care calls? I think that's quite important. And ensuring all the carers know who to contact in the office to escalate issues or concern. Remember to keep families up to date if something happens to their loved ones, if they're not spending Christmas and New Year together. And just try to have good comms and be proactive in your comms. I know that some of the things are things that you may already know. It's just a reminder of everything that, again, from local authority point of view, we would like to see, and just having that proactivity really, because sometimes we ask for information, it's not readily available as well. Next slide, please. So especially for Wandsworth and Richmond, I have included emergency numbers, and this slide is for the urgent community response service, so the 2-hour service operating from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So for Wandsworth, you can contact on the number below, and again for Richmond, number below. And it does state the provider of that service as well, where it's coming from, which trust. Next slide, please. I have also included the Richmond contact numbers if you need to escalate. So the care home support team, the Richmond response and rehabilitation team, the community night nurses, and again, kind of gives you a little bit of information around where can you call them. And next slide, please, is the Wandsworth contact numbers and the escalation contact numbers. A busier slide, a few more numbers there to call. I think it's quite informative, and obviously you can make use of it not just during the holidays, but in an emergency. And hopefully they're of use. And my last slide is around, again, the urgent community response service. It's across South West London that Richmond and Wandsworth are part of, and just states the numbers for the rest of the boroughs in South West London, so Croydon, Kingston, Merton, Sutton, Richmond and Wandsworth. So you have those numbers there if you're operating in South West London and in more than one boroughs. And I know that for domiciliary care providers, you might have a contract and you might be working across multiple boroughs, and that makes it a lot more complicated for you to plan ahead. Makes it more complicated to respond to emergencies because your cares could be all over the place. So hopefully this information has been useful. And I've reached the end of my presentation, so thank you very much. And my next slide is just thank you. And do you have any questions? And obviously, Merry Christmas.
Right. Right, thank you very much, Dimitra. There's a huge amount of information there, and I would guess that there must be some questions. I think I saw one or two people taking photographs. We will put the slides on the website very shortly, and the meeting is being recorded, and Dudley will turn that into a YouTube link, which again we'll put on the website in a couple of days. So fire away with questions, please. I can't believe everybody is struck dumb. Particularly, we've already had queries raised to us about rota issues, about agency costs, how people are going to cover it, and also about taking or feeling pressured to take last minute or emergency placements when they don't think they've got the staff. It is safer not to take them. If you can't do the job properly, don't do it.
Yeah. Or be very clear with the local authority what you can provide. If they say they're offering and they're saying we need 2 calls a day and you can only do the one, just say I can only do the one.
Yeah.
Sometimes for people, even if they have 1 call, it could be better than having no care at all, but be absolutely clear what you can provide and what you cannot provide. Also, you mentioned the rotas and the costs, Peter, and just to say, I can only speak obviously on behalf of Richmond and Wandsworth, that we are in the process of allocating payments that have come from the discharge fund to our providers. They will go out before Christmas. Obviously, I don't have the detail on that, but I'm hoping that that funding and that payment will help towards those costs. I don't think there is any conditions attached to them. So there will be a little bit of financial support there that managers and providers can use to support them with the costs during winter, but obviously during the festive period as well.
Yeah, just a note of caution on. I was been contacted a couple of times. People have taken placements direct from NHS units, and are struggling to get the NHS to actually pay the bills afterwards. Make sure you've got the right record of who you need to contact, how you need to send the invoice in, and preferably get a PO number. If it may be very tempting, particularly for dom care providers, to take potentially some lucrative business, but it's not very good if you're not going to get paid. So make sure you've got the full process, and also make sure you can do the work. Back to something that Dimitra said, you need to make sure if you're taking people on who have a particular language need or a sensory need, make sure you've got the trained staff available to cover those points, because you don't want to just run up a safeguarding alert. And I think, I don't know whether anybody's had any problems with difficult visitors over Christmas. That can be an issue, particularly in care homes. You may need to have safeguarding on tap, or even worst case scenario, be able to contact the police about that. Are there any questions or points anybody wants to raise at this point? Seems not.
Oh, hi Dimitra. So I was just going to check with you for the RRT team. They're still based at Teddington, is that right?
That's right. Yes, Teddington Memorial.
Number for contact for fall. Is that still for witness falls that they receive the referrals, or is it for anyone over Christmas now?
Let me just check what my slide says. I think it would be best if you contacted them, because I think it's for everything. Excuse me. It's not just for falls. I think it's for everything. So you can contact them and see what the response is. Obviously, it depends on how busy they are to respond. Yes. I think if there is something, then you can definitely contact them, and obviously the urgent community response service is always there as well.
And what's that for? Sorry, the community urgent response. It's not just for falls, it's for everything.
It's not just for falls, no. It's to reduce hospital admissions. It's to provide that clinical support that may be required instead of an ambulance or instead of a nurse, so that the client doesn't need to go to hospital and they can just be treated at home.
And it's all the same number that you've given for the same team.
It's the numbers that I have on my slide. So there are different numbers for Richmond, Wandsworth, Croydon, Kingston, because the teams have been set up by different trusts within each borough. So
thank you.
it's on the slides, the numbers.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Great. And I think it's probably fair to say that, err on the side of caution. If you're not sure about something, take advice, and don't wait until the new year, by which time it could be too late.
Especially reporting incidents and safeguardings. We do want to hear straight away. Obviously, it's an online form for Wandsworth and Richmond now, so you don't actually need to ring anyone. You can just go on our website and complete the form, and it will be picked up. So you don't need to wait around to ring someone for safeguarding incidents, at least.
Right.
Which is okay.
Okay, thank you. If nobody wants to raise any more points with Dimitra, Victoria, would you like to give us your words of wisdom?
Thank you, Peter, and thanks, Dimitra. That was very informative. I made sure to take notes while you were speaking. Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria Oladosu. I am a general manager at LCAS, who own the Royal Buckinghamshire Hospital and King's Lodge Centre for Complex Need. And what I'm going to share today is just a few points on how we can make our employees feel valued at Christmas time. I'm quite big on employee appreciation and valuing staff, because it's one of the ways to deliver good and outstanding care. But before I talk about just certain, practical points that we as managers or leaders need to take, or things that we can do, I think it's better we start with the why. Why do we need to bother with employee appreciation? Why do we need to bother with Christmas or New Year? Why do we as leaders or the people who set the culture for the organization, why do we need to put some effort or strategy into the festive period? And the reason is quite, simple. We are struggling at the moment, with staffing. I'm not going to ask anyone to indicate whether or not they have trouble with staffing, because I know the answer. And so we need to find ways that are beyond remuneration to show staff that we care. After COVID, people join and stay in job for different reasons. And now we need to look for different ways to make them feel part of an organization. So the first thing I will start with is quite practical, but is find a reason to say thank you. The festive period gives you an opportunity to be able to say thank you based on something a member of staff has done. For example, the people who put up the Christmas tree, people who come to work when there's adverse weather conditions, people who make sure the residents get out for all the activities that you've, planned, people who go on calls or, decide to go to the extra effort, as domiciliary care providers. You've got a real opportunity to say thank you to X member of staff for a certain thing. And this helps with a feeling of belonging. It also helps to create a culture of recognition and feedback within your organization. The next thing you can do is to tap into tradition. Around this time of the year, there's quite a lot of traditional things that people do: Christmas markets, Christmas carol, Christmas jumper day, opening of presents. Whatever that is, tap into tradition with the staff, get them involved in this. Last week, we had a Christmas market at work where the employees, it was on a Saturday afternoon, and they could bring their children. We had marshmallows and just little things like that. You still have time, before the end of the year to do things where you can involve your staff. I think the third point is about thinking of your employee experience. Now, this is different for every manager, every organization, and I'll try to explain it a bit more. We need to find time out of no time to think of what our employees are feeling during this period. Where I work, we recently employed a lot of overseas staff. And for a lot of them, this is their first year outside their home country, their first Christmas without their families. Some don't have their children here. And it was important for us as, the managers to think of, I came from Nigeria. I remembered, when I moved and how my first Christmas was. And we've taken steps to try to avoid isolation during that period. We have buddied some of them up with residents for resident lunch. So even if they're not working, they have a reason to come out that day. They have a reason to come to work. They have a reason to get up. We will organize transport and they can eat the fantastic food that the chef would make. We also, made sure to involve them in decorating the home. When we are taking down the decorations, I'm sure we will involve them. For the older members of staff is also to think of what is important to them during this period. And you can only get that by asking questions. We have a nurse that has worked here for the last 12 years and has worked every Christmas. But this year, her daughter is coming in from the Philippines and she wants to have Christmas time off. And she is going to get it this year because, there is no point saying she has to work when she has given so much to the organization. She's asking for one Christmas off and she can get that. So what I would say is think of your employees, think of their experience at this time, ask the questions that you need to ask so you can put certain things in place for them. My fourth point is be intentional about the festivities. I personally, in a previous life or previous time, I used to write Christmas cards handwritten for the entire staff team. That's not sustainable. So this year I haven't been able to do that, but I have delegated to team leaders and, unit managers, line managers, but it's important that the staff know that we think about them. And it's just the little things, we write and sign and we make sure we post it to them. I get hampers for my line managers that are tailored to their situations. If they've got young children, make sure I put something in there that they can use for the children. If they've got people that they care for, but just be intentional. It's not really about how much you spend. It's the thought that counts. Another point is, involve your staff. We sometimes get our staff to judge our Christmas cake competition among the residents. We get some of them who volunteer as elves, some who volunteer as Santa, and people who work in this industry are here because they want to do good. Well, most of them are. They are here because they want to do good and they want to have a sense of purpose. And there's no better way to make them, feel valued at Christmas than to involve them in the process. It shows that you trust them. It shows that you trust their judgment, and it makes them feel part of your organization. Another point here is play. Care is 24/7, and we know that life goes on even during the festive period. But it's important that you find time within your establishment, within your branches to play. And just bring a bit of the Christmas spirit or the festive period and that magic in, Christmas is the time of the year where your neighbors who never say hi suddenly start to say good morning or compliment your Christmas jumper. So take some of that magic and bring it into your workplace. Case in point, we had snow, a few days ago, and we decided to take a few group photographs in the snow, share them with the staff. Just got everybody outside for a few minutes and said, hey, let's take a picture in our uniform. It was cold, the residents were fine, but it's about capturing that moment and just having a bit of fun. Some of the teams tried to make snowmen, had a competition, got some residents to join, but it's just finding time within our busy day to play. We have Christmas music and festive music playing around the home. We encourage people to come in nice jumpers and just maybe not wear their uniform all the time, but have their name badges. But that just helps the staff feel and recreate the atmosphere that is in the wider community. Another point, is give gifts or vouchers if you can. This is pretty straightforward. Some homes ask people, do you want a Christmas party or do you want a gift? Some people just buy, gifts and give them to people. Some give vouchers, some give bonuses. Whatever you can do, make them know that you're doing this because it's a festive period and because you appreciate the fact that for them, life goes on as normal. A lot of other workplaces have taken time off. They go off on the 20th and resume on the 5th or whatever. We don't have that luxury. So it's important that we let the staff know that we recognize them. One more point, which I think Nicola talked about, from a different angle, is about giving the gift of time. And this comes to your Christmas rota. It's not too late to look at it. It's not too late to tweak it if you can. This moment, I think we can't buy time back. It's important to know what is important to your staff. I've got people who don't really care about Christmas, don't really care about Boxing Day. All they want to do is to be with their family on the 1st. You have people who don't really like New Year's Eve, but they need to be, off on the 24th. And this kind of questions, put it out to the team. You might not be able to cover every request, but the very act of telling the staff, I want to know what is important to you. Some of them will realize, we can see the numbers, we can't accept every request, but the fact that you as a leader, you as a manager, consider what is important to them and ask that question really makes a difference. Another practical solution is to have treats, if you can, around your home, around your branches, Christmas time, New Year time, chocolate, biscuits, things in the staff room, little notes, just a way of keeping that, atmosphere light and friendly and positive. My last point, if you have the time, is to host a meeting just to say thank you. Now, I know as leaders, when we call meetings, sometimes people say, oh my God, what does Victoria want to talk about? And this time around, just do it with your small teams, go to the kitchen, go to your laundry department, go to your maintenance and say, let's have a meeting. It can be 5 minutes. And the meeting is just to say, thank you for being here. It is the end of the year. We've got a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of improving that we need to do. But I just want to say thank you for this year so far. We're looking forward to next year. When we have a meeting next year, we will talk about what we need to do as a home, as a team. But it's important just to say thank you to your team. And with that, I've come to the end of my very short presentation. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Dudley. Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you have a fantastic New Year as well.
Thanks, Victoria. Very good. Any points anybody wants to add or make? Any questions? Yep, good. I see you're getting some applause, virtual applause. I would just add a couple of things. I've put contacts for 2 of the London Keeping Well units in the chat. The 2 best portals for keeping well are South East London and North West London, but forget where you happen to be based. If you need advice or your staff need advice, use those 2. There's a huge range of information there, not just around keeping well, but many, many wider points and problems. And say that it's free, it's very easy to use. So do use it. It may be an NHS initiative, but there's some great stuff on there. And one thing that regrettably will crop up after Christmas will be debt issues. We will cover some debt issues, I suspect, points during today's meeting, and I will put in the chat details of a meeting. I think it's on January the 9th. It's a webinar which is being run around about debt and financial problems, but you can also access it, a lot of information about problems, financial problems, via the Keeping Well website. So do please use them. Anything else people want to bring in at the moment, or shall we move on to the next presenter? Okay. Sonia. Sonia? I saw Sonia here a moment ago. Right. Have we lost Sonia? Okay. Unfortunately, we appear to have lost Sonia.
I think she just came back, Peter.
Yeah, sorry.
I think she just came back into the room.
I can't see Sonia on the screen. Shall we jump ahead? Laura, if you want to jump in, we can come back to Sonia. Now we have Laura from Skills for Care.
Yep, no problem. Can we just share my slides, Peter, or are you able to?
So do you want to do them directly or do you want me to do them?
I can do them if you can make me co-host.
Yeah, you are co-host, so no problem.
Get those up. Those come up, Peter.
Yes, they're there, they're visible.
Lovely. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. So just a few updates for Skills for Care. And the first thing I wanted to mention, following on from Dimitra's presentation, is the webinar we ran a couple of months ago on preparing for winter pressures. So this is recorded and you can access it on our website via the link at the bottom of the slide. It's about 45 minutes long, and I know we are very much now in the middle of the winter periods. Hopefully this should still be helpful. So you'll hear from other managers about the approach they're taking to issues such as staffing challenges and developing contingency plans. And we've also created some resources to accompany the webinar, which include an example winter plan. There's a list of recommendations from other providers about practical ways to protect your service. And there's also a contingency planning checklist, which helps you to consider what to include in your plan and how to involve others in shaping it and implementing it. So there should hopefully be some really helpful resources there which you can access. So if contingency planning is something you perhaps need additional support with, we have a separate webinar on this topic. Again, you can access it via the link at the bottom of the slide, which you'll get after today. And there's some accompanying resources as well. Again, I think it's about 45 minutes long, so it won't take up too much of your time. So on a different topic, if you're from a nursing home in Southwest London and want to find out more about embedding the nursing associate role in your organisation, then the Southwest London Integrated Care System is running a series of webinars where you can find out a little bit more and ask questions. And I don't know how many people are aware of the trainee nursing associate role, but it's kind of been created to bridge the skills gap between care assistants and registered nurses. And it can help increase your organisational capacity. It's a really good way of offering a development opportunity to your staff. Much of the training costs are covered, so it is very cost effective as well. So if you want to find out more, there's free webinars coming up. You can just click on the links and you'll be taken to the booking pages. So another event that's coming up, again being run by the Southwest London Integrated Care System, but this one's open to care organisations across the whole of London. So the theme of the event is digitising social care, and the idea is to bring together care organisations alongside suppliers of digital social care records. So you as managers can find out more about the digital social care records and how they can benefit your service. you can have a chat with the suppliers about the different options open to you and just find out what might work best for your organisation. So it's free to attend, it's face-to-face, being held at a venue near Waterloo Station. And just click on the link and you'll be taken to more information, and you can book a place as well. So some of you may have already attended the recent webinars we've run about the workforce development funding and the adult social care workforce data set. But if you're a larger employer, so an employer with 50 or more staff, we're running another event in January, and this is going to cover WDF and the Ask WDS and the benefits. But we're also going to look at how you can use the bulk upload facility to populate your Ask WDS account. So if you have a lot of staff, rather than populate each of your staff records individually, you can use this tool to do it all at once. So it makes your life a lot easier. If you'd like to attend, it's going to be quite a short 45-minute seminar. Just email me. I've got my details there at the bottom, and I'll send you the joining link. But just to stress, it is just for larger employers with 50 or more staff, as they're the ones who are able to use this bulk upload facility. We'll put a note in the chat as well, and I can send you details afterwards. Finally, we're running or setting up a new network for nominated individuals in London and the South East. And this network will be similar to the registered manager networks like this one you'll hear at today. So it's going to be a chance for nominated individuals to meet people from other services, access peer support, and hear from external speakers. So the first meeting is going to be next month via Zoom. We're going to have the CQC there talking about the role of the nominated individual. We're going to have an outstanding rated provider who will be talking about the role of the nominated individual in CQC inspections. So do forward the link to the NI within your service if you think they'd be interested in joining. The network is going to meet quite regularly, maybe every 2 to 3 months with different speakers each time, and lots of opportunities for discussions as well. So new network, please do spread the word. Contact details, so I cover South West London, my colleague Selina covers North West London. If you're from outside of those areas and want to get in touch with Skills for Care, just let me know via the chat and I'll link you with your own locality manager. And I don't have a slide for this, but at the moment we're doing a survey about our registered manager networks. The Skills for Care do actually fund these via the Department of Health and Social Care, and it'll be really useful to get your feedback on how you're finding them, what's helpful, what we could be doing better. So in a moment, I'll post a link in the chat, and the name of the network is the South West London Network. So I'll do that in a moment. You'll get these slides, so please do look at the webinars, do join the events, and do get in touch with us with any further queries about anything to do with recruitment and retention or workforce development.
Thanks, Laura. Any questions for Laura? I have a feeling that not quite the ghost of Christmas past, but the ghost of Dudley Sawyer might have appeared. Hello, Dudley.
Jyoti wanted to know if Christmas Day, I mean before Christmas, she also can get paid. Yeah.
Right, Dudley was there. There's some internet problems this morning. Sonia had a problem, has disappeared and can't seem to get back. And Dudley was here, but now it appears that Dudley has disappeared again. It's always entertaining. A few points to raise. Most of you will have ICO registration, and do make sure that you keep on top of that, because I've discovered a couple of people recently who have missed the email reminding them about their ICO re-registration, and so they discovered that they were no longer registered. So do check that. If you do it by direct debit, which is very easy, If you don't, all you get is a simple email, which is easily missed. So please make sure that you cover that off. And also DBS checks. We're finding that people aren't doing DBS checks or aren't doing them properly along with other checks. It's very simple to do them and very swift through people like UCheck. If you're struggling to get things done, let us know and we'll see what we can do to help you, or give you links. And for Northwest London, in the new year, there's a series of free Managing Stress MOT training courses that are available. Again, we'll circulate that, but one series has been in place. Many people found them very useful, so those will be available again in the new year. If you need information, let me know, but it's been on the website and we'll circulate it as well. We've got another couple of speakers who are coming in, but hopefully they are going to arrive, and we don't have a particular problem. Okay, we've got a series of events in the new year, both live events and virtual events. There was a request, excuse me, there was a request to refresh information with regard to bringing staff in from abroad with the rules and regulations. So Fragamen have agreed to join with us on the 18th of January to go through that topic again in detail. Now, the last couple of times they've been, there have been a large number of questions posed which they were not able to fully cover in the time of the event. So if you want to let us know if you've got any points, then we can pass them on to Fragamen. We will remind you again, but that's a date for January. In February, there are a couple of events. One parallels the digital event that Laura has just mentioned. Again, that will be a face-to-face event. It will be based in Croydon. There will be demonstrations, and it will actually largely be the same team of people that will be available on the 15th as well. So don't think that digital social care records will go away or you can ignore them. They are not yet a requirement, but the target that CQC and DH have is to have 80% of social care providers covered by 2024. It's not an easy or a cheap process. There's a lot of talk about funding at the moment, but it's basically, I suspect, going to be a requirement. So make sure that you have got the right advice. Don't get it wrong, because it is quite expensive. And as I say, that there's going to be a string of events there. So, please keep on top of that. If just quickly can check if either Richard or Darren have arrived yet. If they could let me know.
Yeah, Peter, it's Richard. I don't think Darren's able to join. I'll switch my video on as well, but happy to get going whenever is
right.
Good.
Well, thank you, Richard. If you'd like to take over for a few minutes, that'd be great.
Right. Somewhat unexpectedly then. Right. I'm just going to put the link to the Keeping Well online community in the chat for people so they can follow up later. And I also don't know what happened to my video then. Can I share, Peter? Can I share my screen?
I'm just going to make you co-host. So you're co-host, so you should be able to share.
Right. Okay. Is that coming up for everyone?
Yep.
Right. Okay. What I'm going to be talking about is an aspect of the Keeping Well community that we've been developing over the past year in relation to cost of living. So this is an online forum community where people can join, and actually you can even see the content without needing to join. And we're working closely with our colleagues in the Keeping Well team in South East London, based at SLAM, and with also colleagues like Dudley Sawyer, who I believe is on the call. So when the community is something we can update regularly. So as you can see here, if you go there now, there's a Christmas 2022 section with a section particularly on Christmas savings and other things that sort of help with supporting people over Christmas. And this is a complement to the sort of therapy, psychological support that the portal and the Keeping Well team offer in other ways. But we've been thinking, as I say, about cost of living right from pretty much the early part of this year, and have been sort of promoting the Proud to Care rewards. But one of the things we found with that is it does there is a cognitive load, there is an amount of time you need to put into getting the most out of those rewards, which are all there, and some routes work better than others. And my colleague Darren Goff at Island 23 worked with Martin Lewis and helped him set up the money savings expert community. And one of the things we've been trying to do is actually bring things that are kind of quick wins for people, that are something that they can use in the moment more quickly, as well as some of the things that can be shared about more longer term changes. So you'll see here that I'll come back to about cheaper mobile and broadband deals. But hot UK deals, money saving experts, and Be Clever with Your Cash are the sort of social resources we're using to find deals. So, for example, I mean, this is actually from BBC Foods, but a practical one. It's 3-course Christmas dinner for 4 for under £15. Costed at the supermarket, and it can take you through all those recipes that give you a good Christmas lunch, hopefully within budget. You'll see here for the Christmas 2022 panel, there's a whole range of different things. The last one Darren posted yesterday was a voucher for Morrison's, £10 off £80 spend, and then other things that I'll come on to as well. What he can also post, is this was a nice one showing how Lidl in the next week will be providing vegetables for 19p. So you can see there, hopefully you can see it on your screen, and this is all you can visit the forum, the community to see, all those vegetables, just 19p. And I expect, as he puts there, other supermarkets will follow, but that might be something quite desirable and achievable for many people and families. There's a broader cost of living panel, and you'll see here from somebody from SLAM yesterday, Izzy Voss, posted something on tax rebates for professional fees, registration fees for nurses, which some of you will be in contact with, right the way down to gift cards, free Starbucks, sadly some for just the NHS. But again, this is a more sort of less seasonal sort of update of practical things. And some of the things we want to be a little bit more searching and detailed. So you may know that there are mobile and broadband social tariffs, kind of like social housing, but for technology. And there are 4 million people eligible for these tariffs in the UK. And I think they're only taken up by 4%. So which have a campaign, that sticking with your mobile provider is costing you money, and actually trying to get people more active in terms of doing things that will make a difference overall. There's also a money check, health check, lots of these about at the moment. This might feel a bit more neutral, not coming from a particular agency, and it's quite good in terms of different areas. But some of the most popular things are the sort of freebies, and there was a lot of activity in the community about people downloading the M&S app, because if you did that, you could just get, in a sort of advent calendar way, free mince pies. And in fact, Darren got a free bottle of gin liqueur, which I'm still assuming was some inside trading. So a lot of the teams were just getting nice little freebies, which again make a difference, and obviously some can be shared in the care homes and more widely. I just thought I'd flag up the Keeping Well team as well. Out and about. You've probably been in touch with some of them over the last few months. Great work going on in terms of the professional tree of life sessions. And there's a great Q&A for people who want to understand the benefit. And we're trying to get these photos that show people what a positive and relatable experience it can be. But of course, now with Christmas, the elves, and I think one of them is amongst us, are going out into different parts of Southeast London with goodies and chocolates and so on, and I think spreading a bit of Christmas cheer. So this is just something else, because with the community, we can create content. There may be a familiar face to some of you, doesn't always wear those polar bears, but the smile, I think, is a constant feature. Plans for 2022. So there's lots there, but we're very aware that January is going to be a tough time. There's going to be lots of challenges in the next few months about the energy bills and how to sort of manage that as best we can, thinking about credit card repayments. And that's where those social sources of information like Money Saving Expert often sort of produce information that, again, the more generic money advice may not. So it's worth looking and keeping up to date. And if you join, you'll get updated emails telling you what's coming. But we still want to find those little free things, like a free lunch that you might get with, if you've got a free Pizza Hut lunch if you happen to have an O2 mobile phone. It's very easy to sign up. It's in the top right corner of that forum homepage, and yeah, just email in a name, password, and off you go, really. And that way you get the updates, and you can also contribute. If you come across something, we'd love to hear about it, but we're also being very mindful about the ethics of this and not, getting into financial advice that would be, or even other things that might be disadvantageous to people working in the sector. So I hope that gives a bit of a taste, Peter. It's a whistle stop. There's lots of different types of cost of living support there, and also other discussions, like just managing the winter pressures, the blues, yeah, and things that might make you feel a bit more positive and upbeat with all these pressures.
Thank you, Richard. There's some huge amount of information there, and I can't recommend the Keeping Well portals strongly enough. And also, one thing we miss from, if you like, face-to-face meetings is being able to pass information and tips from one person to another. But we do know that many of you have little local sort of email or WhatsApp groups where you can pass things on and help other providers. If you look at the people in this room today, this virtual room, 40 people, there's many years of social care experience, of business experience, of life experience. And many of the problems that you experience or are experiencing and are struggling for an answer are kicking about somewhere in this room. It's just being able to ask those other folks. And by building local networks, and the ghost of Dudley Sawyer has just appeared on screen. There's an awful lot, and being able to help your staff through things like Keeping Well aids retention fantastically. And I don't need to tell you how expensive taking staff on. If it costs you, $3,000 to recruit as a care worker, if you can stop a dozen people a year going, for some smaller providers, that's doubled your profits in a year. So looking after your staff, as has been mentioned today, pointed out quite a lot by Victoria, your staff are a very, very valuable asset.
I totally agree, Peter.
Great.
I think it's important. And sorry, I've been involved with a double meeting, but I think part of this is just beyond just thanking everyone for what they've done throughout the whole year. We know coming up at the Christmas period is a very busy time, but obviously the mental health and well-being of your staff is really important, and just supporting in any shape or form is really key. We say, and part of the project I've been involved with South East London is keeping you well. If you're keeping your clients, your service users well, who's keeping you well? Who's keeping your staff well? So it's really important to think about your staff as really as a part and extension of you and your management team, and supporting them is really key. So I think all of what's been said today has been really helpful.
Peter, can I just say a couple of things? If people would be interested in kind of having a guided tour in terms of learning how to use the community, because we can do a number of things. One is we can set up private groups which are only visible then, like WhatsApp, to people who are invited. So if you look at it, the link, you just wouldn't see certain areas because, I don't know, let's say it was an LCAS group or something, that people on this call would be, once they'd registered, we, through their email address, just give them access to a particular area, and you can use that however you want. And there are times where, you know, the sort of trolling and other sort of online pressures can make going online in a broader way much more difficult. So we can do that. But we could also show people how to set up topics, because it could be anything. It could be something about recruitment. You know, it may back in the day have been about changes to guidance or vaccines or or whatever it was, where that shared knowledge, excuse me, would have been incredibly helpful. So if after this meeting, if anybody would like a sort of tutorial on how to use the tech that's there, you know, for the wider good, as Dudley's saying, you know, it's be a great way of supporting each other and yourselves. And it's so flexible, you can almost do anything in terms of topics and designs and so on. It just takes a bit of confidence, I think, to start that journey.
And I know you've spoke about different sort of discounts as well, Richard. I think it would be good if people could share discounts or deals throughout the Christmas period. You never know, have everyone rushing from one place or another also is very helpful, because really we're all part of a bigger community beyond that as social care. And I think as a community, if we know that the government isn't looking out for us, definitely we can help by looking out for ourselves. And that can be also locally as well in your patch. There may be things that your local authorities may be showcasing that you can also share as well.
Yeah, I think that's very valuable. And you know, Richard, you mentioned vaccines and COVID during those, you know, those peak times, but still vaccination is a key issue. And there have been, I'm aware that small groups have worked together to get better coverage with vaccines, and they've also involved you know, community individuals that have been able to put a good influence in to get things done, and bringing in, you know, carers' families as well, and so they're able to benefit as well, has been hugely beneficial to not just to the care provider. It's not, and it's not just about profit or making better, because there's lots of not-for-profits and social care social enterprise type organisations involved there as well. And the NHS has an awful lot of stuff which it is prepared to share with social care. And as the two become more integrated, that's going to become more valuable.
Yeah.
Dudley, has your colleague been able to make it, or do we think not?
I think she seems to have had some issues regarding her connection, but just to...
She did certainly appear, and then...
Yeah, but it was also to support those from a dom care point of view. We know the pressures that happen for not just care home staff, but as Victoria mentioned, how can you support your domiciliary care staff? And we know in this weather now where it's very cold, having to go from door to door. But one thing I wanted to share was that some of the clients or service users, you and the dom care providers are their only form of family coming to them on the day. And it's almost very important, and to get the staff to understand how great their presence is in going to see people, be it on Christmas Day or around this period. Those people may not get visits from families, so it's important to actually value the staff. And as we know, if the staff, for example, on Christmas Day may not be able to actually have that Christmas, it's actually maybe doing a Christmas Day before or even after for those domiciliary staff, and actually thanking them for the work they've done this year. We know it's not easy. So even things like that, as Victoria mentioned earlier, the personalised cards, one of the things that we've been doing, that we did for the project we involved with, we took a picture of all the staff and sent them out as a Christmas card to others as well. So there's things that you can do as well to show that you're not just one person, but you're part of a team. We also know that domiciliary staff usually go out maybe in ones and twos. So actually getting people together and actually putting together a dinner or party actually to show they're part of a wider group is also very important for domiciliary staff as well. So all these things are some suggestions that we can do as a team and value them. So this is really important as a whole. Then obviously as well, we know with the cold weather, actually maybe things such as gloves, scarves, or all these sorts of things which are very helpful. Maybe small, but also means that you're thinking of them. So by all means, please do better your staff. So thank you.
I think those are very valuable points, and one of the peak times for staff leaving social care has been moving into the new year, and part of that has been because they've not had a great experience over the Christmas and New Year, the festive season, and a little bit of encouragement to get them to stay, as Dudley said, perhaps taking people out for a meal or even a coffee and talking to them. Many people look forward to Christmas and New Year, and once that's passed, there is then just 2 to 3 months of miserable, grim weather and not much to look forward to, apart from, you know, nasty bank statements and credit card bills rolling in. So support becomes very, very important, or even more important at that time of the year. And we just can't stress enough the difficulties around recruitment in social care. Okay, you know, you can use outsource operations like Purple Tribe, it works very effectively, but you can import staff, that's a very expensive option, but you still have to look after those staff once you've got them. So, you know, if you've got ideas that work for yourselves, please do share them and let us know, because we can pass them on and use the sources of advice, be they Skills for Care, CQC, Keeping Well sites, NICE, etc. And if you're looking for training, we've had various queries about training for medication, then yes, you know, there's a distance learning 1 unit level 2 available, which can easily be done. And if you're looking for face-to-face training and you've not got very many staff, if 4 or 5 providers get together, then that makes a reasonable number of say 10 to a dozen people where you can cheaply use a room, and it brings down the cost of training and you're getting an effective job done, which is good for motivation. It's good for your inspections, be they local authority or CQC. You do need to do these things, and you do need to be able to prepare for the way that digitization, etc., and integration is going to come along. And make sure that
I agree, Peter, and I'd like to say thank you for everyone who's attended this year. Basically, it's ongoing and we're all in it together. So there's many more things to come, and there'll be as much as virtual meetings, also, as Peter said, more face-to-face meetings. So we're open to look at that. We also understand the well-being and mental health is important. We understand there's lots of sources. So the WhatsApp group is also available during the Christmas period as well. So by all means, please do share with us. And so thank you. Peter, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Dudley. I think Dudley's going to drop off for a couple of minutes, but I know we've got some, excuse me, domiciliary care providers here with us today. Are there any points that any of you would like to raise, excuse me, from your experience? Because those are very useful to ourselves and to other people. Some of you must have some points you'd like to bring out. There was a request in the chat for a couple of links to be added. Can I ask exactly which links were required? I think it was from Vibrant.
Hi, we were asking about the link that was shared in the Skills for Care presentation.
Okay, right. Okay, we'll make sure that's done.
Okay.
It's a shame that that Sonia wasn't able to join us, because there was some very useful, DOM care points there. With regard to DOM care, and I guess I probably wouldn't expect somebody to actually talk about this in public, but we are aware that quite a lot of DOM care providers are struggling with the financial situation, because they are not getting what they might consider a reasonable fee from local authorities. They are having to pay their staff more, and packages are difficult to come by. If you need business advice, then talk to Dudley or I ourselves. We'll try and point you in the right direction of where you can get that help. Do make the decision to talk to somebody before it gets too late. I know from talking with local authorities that it's very difficult for them to sort out something when it completely fails. Giving people that little bit of notice does make a big difference. And with a couple of DOM care providers, we've been able to talk with them and their accountants, and they've been, able to put something together that's been able to enable the organisation to carry on, or if not carry on, to be able to wrap up properly without causing issues to the vulnerable people that are being looked after. So, please do, ask for some support. I'm not sure if there are any other points that Laura or Richard would like to add at the moment.
I don't think there's anything more from me. I mean, if I put my email address in the chat, Peter, would that be helpful if people want to?
Yeah, I think that certainly would be helpful.
Yeah, because there's a lot to take in. I appreciate that, as you said,
Yeah.
and if anybody wants a sort of guided tour, somebody's put a comment about using Instagram, and we can use that community platform much in the same way as you can Instagram, but you've obviously got more control really over what happens. But I'll just put my email address in for anyone who wants to discuss anything further.
Okay. And I've put the contact details for Dudley and myself in the chat. So if you want to contact us, please do. You've got Laura from Skills for Care and also Selina, who covers Northwest London. They're always available. And it's sometimes difficult to find the information you want on some of the websites, but if you contact them or contact us, we will point you in the right direction to get that, or simply use Google. Certainly if you're using the NICE website, it's often easier to just put the question into Google and it will take you to the right page on the NICE website. And I know we've had queries about CQC and medication. We are preparing an event. It will be a virtual event for the beginning of next year. And we have got CQC and NICE, who are both volunteered, which is kind of them, to come and run that event for you. And we'll also bring the medication training into that as well from Croydon College. And despite it being Croydon College, it is available as distance learning, wherever you are. So that's not a problem. Okay. I think if there's nothing else that anybody wants to raise, we'll give you 10 minutes of the day back and say thank you very much for your participation during the year, your help putting these events together and giving us topics. I say we've got a list of things taking us through the rest of this financial year and certainly into the next financial year. And we're talking with Skills for Care around the next financial year as well. So that's good. So have a good Christmas, everybody. Enjoy the festive season and say, let us know. I think Dudley has disappeared, so I'll say thank you on his behalf. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year. Have a safe and good Christmas time. And thanks again.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.